We need to seek God's control daily. That's the first request, petition. After we focus on who we're talking to, we say, your kingdom come in my life. And what does that look like when we get his rule? The petition, control me, thy kingdom come, means this. And I'm just going to run through this. This is where we're going to pick up, Lord willing, next week. Go back to Matthew 6. Now remember context. Let's not conjure this up. These people are listening to Jesus talk. He has just told them how they're supposed to pray. And look what the next lesson is in chapter 6, verse 19. If we're truly saying, Lord, I want you to control my life, control me, Jesus said, well, then this is what I'm going to have to control in your life. Verse 19 of chapter 6 of Matthew. Therefore, in verse 19, don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. You know, that word lay up in Greek, thesaurizo, in English, thesaurus. What's a thesaurus? It's a book of stacked words. I read something interesting over the weekend. In Bloomberg, it talked about this unique man in Germany. He's a very big industrialist. He's earned $161 million. I wonder if any of us have, you know. But he's converted all his to gold. And he has a vault in the Bundesbank or whatever, you know, downtown Berlin or wherever it is. And he's rented this secure location, and he has all 161 million in gold ingots. You know, they're like bricks, only they weigh 27 pounds each. And once a year, the bank has to let him in, and all the security and machine guns, and he has a clipboard, and he picks up his ingots, and he and carries them to the other side of the room, counting them. He wants to make sure they're all there. And the rest of the time, they're all locked up in that vault. You know, I was thinking, look what it says there. Don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But instead of wasting your time putting all your stuff in that vault in Berlin, lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, because you aren't going to have to count it every year and worry someone stole some of it. But what's the bottom line? Verse 21, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Do you know what after I read that article, you know what I thought? In a few years, or maybe a few months, this guy's going to get sick, and an ambulance is going to come, and they're going to take the elevator down, and they're going to wheel him in his gurney, and he's going to be laying down there with one hand on that pile of gold. That's his treasure. And it's going to be very hard for him to die, because he can't take it with him. Do you ever think about how hard it is to die if everything that's important to you is right here? And you haven't transferred the ownership deed and title deed and said, I'm not even my own. My life is not my own. My treasures are not my own. I was bought at a price, and I want to invest everything I have. Whether therefore I eat or drink or whatever I do, I want to do it to your glory. Well, I'll give you a preview of next week. If I say control me, I'm saying not only control my treasures, control my body. I want to present myself as a living sacrifice. I say I want you to control my motives, because I was bought at a price, and I'm going to glorify God with my body and my spirit, because both belong to him, and those are the motivators of my life. And if I say, Lord, you control me, I'm going to say control my thoughts. Do you know what 2 Corinthians 10, 4 and 5 says? It says, bringing every thought captive. When Bonnie and I used to live when we started out after MacArthur's, we went to the East Coast, and I pastored a church out there, and we lived actually on the water of the Atlantic Ocean. And every time there was a hurricane or something, they would say, everything, tie it down, and if you have a boat, bring it in, it's going to be a bad one. And of course, we didn't have a boat nor anything to tie down. It was lucky we had a house. And I remember in 92, hurricane, I don't remember which one of the boys came through. And we left because, you were supposed to get away from the coast. And when we came back, it was very hard. We were driving around trees, down power lines all twisted. We finally turned the corner and saw our house. There was a white picket fence in front of it and a 42-foot-long yacht with 3 masts leaning against our fence, and the top of the masts of the sailboat masts were almost touching our front window. And I thought, thank you, Lord. I've always wanted a big boat, you brought me one, But actually, they came and hauled it away. And I wondered, how did that thing get there? We were 500 feet from the water, and that's how far the storm surge went. Now, do you see I've got your minds all over the place, haven't I? Do you know what this verse says? This is what life is like. We are thinking about one thing, we all of a sudden are over here. Do you know what this says? Bring every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Just like that boat wasn't tied down, it got in my front yard and they took it away, sadly. Our thoughts are to be brought captive. And when we say control me, we're saying control my treasures, control my body, control my thoughts, control my life, control my emotions. We'll look at that. Control my time, control my mind. Only let in true, honest, just, pure. Only let me love things that you love. Whoop, back up. Come on. There. When I pray the Lord's Prayer and focus on God, my first petition is, now God, control my treasures. Don't let me live for what I can't take with me. Send it ahead. Control my body. Remind me that my body's not in control. You are. My motives for life. Lasso my thoughts. Bring them into captivity. Let me live that crucified life. I want the fruit of the Spirit, you controlling my emotions. I want you to help me redeem my time. I only want to think about what's true, honest, just, pure, lovely, and good report. I want to have my speech seasoned with salt, having grace all over it. And I want to only love what you want me to love. And that's what the Lord's Prayer, just one element of it, is all about in our lives.